Hey, Gaybros Blake.
Hey, bro. Hey, Gaybros. Hey. I'm sick. Leave me alone.
Okay. Where are we today? Besides, I don't know, like sick?
I'm still in the same goddamn spot on the couch. Whatever. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm in San Francisco. Where are you, Jose?
I'm in Chicago, exactly in the same spot. Nothing has changed.
No judgment. No judgment.
Yeah, nothing at all. Where did we was this time?
This was technically my pick. I mean, we decided that we would, in preparation for the release of today's film, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, we would watch the original, which we recorded in our last episode, and today we're going to talk about Edward Norton's version.
Edward Norton versus. I like that we actually mention Sleuth. It's called Sleuth?
Sleuth.
I don't know how to pronounce that word. Sleuth. Because that one, it actually has like one version and another version.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I kind of forgot the similarities.
And both of them, they have like Michael Caine. It's only like a 2-actor play. And both of them, they have Michael Caine.
Like 30 years apart, right? Or maybe more? 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 30. Yeah, from 76 to 2000 something. But yeah, we wanted to watch this too because I was like super pumped knowing that there was going to be like a sequel of Knives Out and Netflix was putting like an indecent amount of money for it to happen because I really enjoyed the first one. I thought that it was like decent entertainment, so I was curious to see what they could do more on the same universe, especially when it looks like Rian Johnson is getting to a similar point to Wes Anderson. That is, he attracts stars. He attracts like a good cast to all of his movies, and it was like the same case. We didn't have Toni Collette, unfortunately,
but we still had Daniel Craig to look at.
Yeah,
and this was actually so Knives Out, which came out in 2019, was a big box office hit. Kind of a surprise hit, in my opinion, but it was still a hit. And it was kind of shocking to see that the sequel was coming out as a Netflix original, right?
Yeah, Netflix original. And I'm surprised because it had like such a box office hit that it's weird that the studio didn't want to just like keep it internally. I don't know. I didn't even like just check like what was the reasoning behind for actually allowing like externally, like someone to take over like this license.
That's a good point. Yeah, I wonder what happened. I wonder if the studio was purchased by Netflix, which is the reason we'll never see another season of Wednesday, by the way. Because the studio that sold it to Netflix was purchased by Amazon.
Yeah, and now probably Amazon doesn't want to give like the license anymore, and Netflix would own this. But yeah, did you watch Wednesday?
I sure did.
I watched half of it. It's okay.
It's fine. It's a little bit of a mess. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but it was entertaining.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not talking about this. Sorry. This time we're talking about like the Edward Norton version of Knives Out, and it's my turn to summarize this. So I'm going to try to be careful in not giving away. When we are recording the podcast, I think that it has only been out, I don't know, like 3 weeks, because it was like released like at the end of December. I think
it was December 23rd, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like on my flight there, and I was like about to download it, and I talked with my boyfriend, and I was like, do you want to watch this? And like, yes, I do want to watch it. Don't you dare to watch it without me. So I had to respect that. Maybe not everyone did that with their partners.
Well, he doesn't listen to the podcast. He'll never find out. He still doesn't know.
But in any case, I waited like for several weeks while I was traveling. I was like Knives Out with my parents, and then I wanted to come back home and just watch it on my big TV and just hearing like the southern accent of Daniel Craig on the big TV. So I'm going to try to be careful and not spoil anything. Were you going to say something?
I just want to add, because it probably won't make sense to add at any other point in the conversation, that this came out December 23rd. It was a big deal. Huge A-list cast. Very successful first film. I was in Portugal at the end of November, and I spent the last half of December in Argentina. And both places were covered in Glass Onion marketing. But like everywhere. You just were in Spain. Was it everywhere in Spain? How can Netflix spend this much on marketing? I don't understand.
So it was everywhere. It's like to the point that when I was taking my flight out on the 23rd, it's like the trays, like the TSA trays for the security check-in, they were themed with Glass Onion.
Yeah, this wasn't like a single poster or one billboard. It's like covering Buenos Aires and Lisbon. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, probably it's like way cheaper. With inflation, probably was like the price of two, I don't know, like boxes from Popeyes.
That's true. They got like 15 billboards for the price of 2 San Francisco cocktails.
Yeah. But no, they spend like a lot of money like just marketing this. But I also think that they release in the cinema like for a month or so. I think that it was like released for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that makes more sense.
But it was like a very, very limited release, as Netflix does on the, okay, so you won't be awarding anything if we don't release in the cinema? Now it's out. What is your excuse?
Okay. All right. Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to try to be careful on not spoiling anything that it goes like beyond like half of the movie. I will mention that there are twists and that there is like before and after twists, but I won't like get into detail. If you feel like I'm about to spoil it, please just stop me.
Okay, deal.
So on this movie actually like takes place in an island in Greece, I think.
At some point we get there, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Italy or Greece.
Oh no, it's
but
Greece.
Basically
Greek island.
It's Greece. Okay, yeah, and it's a group of friends that they come together because of one of their friends is actually like basically Elon Musk. Is that the movie is pretty direct about like this guy is like the counterpart of Elon Musk. He's like super rich, a visionaire that he invests in like many different companies. One of the friends is like a scientist that works for him, that he's working in some kind of like solid gas that is going to be like pretty big. Another friend has like a sweatpants company that is what is her name?
Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, yeah.
Birdie in the film.
Birdie, yeah. We have Dave Bautista, that he is like a gang nut job.
He's a YouTuber who does the man rights, which that was a particular...
The man rights, yeah. We have a senator, I think.
The governor of Connecticut.
Connecticut. Okay. Yeah. And then we have like a former partner of him, and we also have like the assistant of Kate Hudson.
Yeah, Kate Hudson's assistant, and then the company that made Edward Norton a billionaire. He co-founded it with this woman that he then legally cut out of the company.
Yeah.
And then we also have Whiskey, who is Dave Bautista's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that's right, like the girlfriend. And they just get together after solving like some puzzle that he sends to all of his friends with the invite, and they just show up in that island. When they saw the puzzle, they get the information, and then they just like invite them to this island. Additionally to all of them, Benoit Blanc is also there because he also received like one of these boxes with the information for joining them.
A newly out
the premise of the
Benoit Blanc.
The what?
A newly out Benoit Blanc.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was like this meme when they started like just putting all of the marketing out. That it was like just Benoit Blanc with these like very floaty pants, you know, that I think that they're pink, and they had like the jacket on the back and a very colorful shirt. And they were saying it's like, when you decide that for your sequel you want to make your main character gay. And at that point I thought that they were joking, but it's like they actually make him gay.
They sure did, trying to get our attention as homos.
Yep, as homos, but they already had it.
They sure did.
So it's fine. Yeah. No one knows exactly why Edward Norton was invited. Sorry, Edward Norton. Edward Norton is the host. He's Elon Musk. He's Miles Brown. No one knows why Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig, was invited to the island. But the premise of that weekend, that wild weekend that we're going to be having there in this very outrageous mansion that is called the Glass Onion, it was just playing a murder mystery game where he was going to be like murder, and then they were going to be like investigating who did it. Of course, Benoit, well, I won't say it is, but it's like the game doesn't last long, and then we are left with a bit more of what is going to happen. There is a bit more of the movie for a second lacks direction about like what is going to go, because we don't know. There is an asymmetry in information that we don't know at that point. That we don't know why really Benoit Blanc is there, or if everyone has like ulterior motives. So we're giving like a bit more of information in a. It's different from Knives Out, and in Knives Out it's a bit more, it's like, hey, we are giving information when Ana de Armas or Benoit Blanc or Daniel Craig receives that information. But in this case, it's that we are giving the information in a bit of a strange, more forced kind of way.
Yeah, I think we both commented on the original Knives Out about how we valued the fact we saw everything happening from the perspective of two characters, which made, in my opinion, the original Knives Out super cool. Like, it was a cool way to experience that world, and for me, the fact that this didn't exist for Glass Onion was a negative.
Yeah, that's one of the first things, and I feel like I appreciate that the movie uses like a very similar setup. That's the reason why when I saw the tale about like, hey, no one invited Benoit Blanc. In the first movie, in Knives Out, he gets hired, quote unquote, in a very mysterious way. We don't know who hired him initially. In this one, it's like we don't know who sent that box to him.
Initially, yeah.
We assume that it's Masber. That's like a similar premise. We also have like this classic elements of, like people isolated in a place, and someone is going to be like murdered. That in this case was going to be like the murder mystery as a premise, but then everything is like thrown out of the window, and he tries to reinvent the format of what a whodunit is. He plays bending the rules of what is a whodunit, and without like going too much into detail, I felt that this was an enjoyable ride. I felt like it's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a third part of this, of Knives Out. But I also felt like the script was a bit weaker for the mystery, not for the characters. The characters I still felt like, it's cool what he's trying to do. But maybe at the same level as Knives Out, maybe a bit lower, but what is like the mystery, like the central mystery, I felt like it was not so, I don't know,
coherent,
engaging.
Yeah, so there was it is a fun ride. Like I said, I watched it twice, like 4 days apart, but a lot of the fun in Knives Out was watching this incredibly dysfunctional family come together, and a lot of what we learn is just through conversations with them. And there's so much history and dysfunction, and there are vendettas, and we just learn so much. Whereas this film starts out, we meet almost all of the characters individually, and we see them in their own element, and then they come together, and they don't have that shared history. And something I enjoyed so much about the original was Rian Johnson's writing, and he just didn't give his characters here the wealth of complexity that the other ones did, and I feel like that made the film suffer a little bit. Yes, we're always guessing who done it, and Benoit Blanc is always a genius, but I feel like that was missing.
Yeah, and then Benoit Blanc also has like a partner, like a Watson kind of character, that is
A
going to be like helping.
a secret helper, yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I'm not sure if the development here is worst. There is a point that they actually just talk about like how they got together in the past, like for the first time. And I wish that they had developed like that a bit more. And that's like the point that is like, I think that is like the best wink that I ever seen to Magnolia. That Edward Norton is like dressed up exactly as Tom Cruise in Magnolia.
With the hair, the vest,
Yep.
total douchebag. Yeah, that was the biggest fuck you I've ever seen. I actually paused it and I was like, Pablo, husband, look at this. Look at this. And I pulled up the picture of Tom Cruise. I was like, it's exactly the same.
I didn't even have to bring it up. I was just talking with my friends like, oh my god, that's Blaze's favorite movie. Is that they're making a homage to Magnolia. That's amazing. We're going to be like going over this question later, but how did you feel that it was trying to be so now? You know, like just like doing like that comment to the character of Elon Musk.
So some of it I felt really worked. This film takes place during the pandemic, which that really has impacted our lives, and the art that's created now and in the next few years should reflect that. So it was cool. I also appreciated how they nodded to the pandemic and then gave them some cure-all so they didn't have to be masked. Like, I was like, okay, thank you for
because
acknowledging.
he's a genius.
Yes, the last 3 years have been awful. I liked very much when there is an actual murder on the island and it changes from a game of whodunit to we have to figure out who murdered somebody. The governor of Connecticut is like, I can't be here at a party during the pandemic where there's an alt-right YouTuber who dies. And I was like, yeah, it's like right on the nose. Like, that was good. Unfortunately, when we go to the questions, that does move the needle more into the timely than timeless for me, which works right now in 2023. I don't know how well it's going to work in 2050. We'll see.
I don't think that is like bad per se. I just felt like when we actually you was Knives Out, it feels like disconnected from our world. It doesn't feel like it's trying to reflect anything from our current world. You know, is that there is a character, as you said, it's a male Agatha Christie, but in this case there is a character that is Elon Musk, like right now, and he's actually like just like making a bit of a parody of CEOs that they are like multimillionaires, that they can do like some of the most outrageous stuff.
And there's actually
it almost feels like
punchline to that joke at the very end that we won't ruin, but it was a very sound, like, admonishing of CEOs that become billionaires, essentially.
Yeah. So that's like the part that I feel is like, look, this resonates quote unquote right now, but also at the same time it's going to be weird, you know.
I feel like
weird in the future.
I respect that Rian Johnson tried to grow on the idea that was the original Knives Out, but it just, in my opinion, we brought this up in the last 2 episodes, there's a gap between where this film wants to be and where it actually is.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a pity. It's still enjoyable, don't get me wrong. It's like I don't regret like watching it, but as I didn't, I mean, I was with my parents, Knives Out, and then I was feeling like a bit bad that I didn't watch with them like this, but I wanted to watch it like in original version. I'm not sure if my parents will enjoy this one so much. It's more convoluted for the sake of being convoluted. Because it's a bit more of, it's one of those cases that more is not necessarily better.
Agreed. And also I think there are some fantastic performances in this film. The cast is strong. It's got Janelle Monáe, Edward Norton, Kate Hudson. I don't know how people actually feel about her. I love her. I think she's a great actress. Daniel Craig is solid as always. Catherine Hahn, I think she's one of the funniest actresses working today.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think this cast is as good as the original, and it's hard to compare the two. That combined with the fact that, like, the comedy gold that Toni Collette was delivered in Knives Out was not given to Catherine Hahn. She didn't have that opportunity when she could have probably pulled it off.
I don't think that Catherine Hahn is as funny as Toni Collette.
That's fair, but she could have done more. She's more talented than what she was asked to do.
Yeah, her character was a bit more flat than what I would expect her to play.
Yeah. And I felt that way with many of the characters. Like, Dave Bautista, I don't think he's the greatest actor, but that character was so flat and uninteresting. Like, oh, he's an aspirational YouTuber. Okay.
Yeah, it's more like Knives Out left me wanting, like, knowing more of these characters. These characters, they really felt like tools.
Yep.
For the movie.
Yep, just
the
devices.
Ones they felt like flesh out. Yep. They went like to the bucket of what would be interesting to put on this party, and they just pick like these characters. That on the other one is like, hey, they are like members of the family, what they can do. And this was like, hey, I need to make like a larger scale here. And I'm not sure. I mean, that's the only part that is like a bit concerned about like a third part of this is that are we going to keep doing like this escalation?
It's interesting because for whatever reason, maybe just because I saw it recently, this reminded me a lot of White Lotus.
I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't watched it? Okay, so it's similar in that one character is in both seasons, but everything else is different.
Yeah.
And I really saw how you can improve on a concept that works really well. So for me, season 2 is an improvement on a great season 1. And I feel like Rian Johnson did the opposite. He kind of diluted the concept of what he built in the first one and made an enjoyable but somewhat forgettable film, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It's funny because right now the current zeitgeist, as Glass Onion already passed, is that the current zeitgeist is like White Lotus season 2 that I finished like 1 or 2 weekends ago. And I was about to start watching like the second season yesterday. It was like, no, I mean, I know that there is like some connection, so I'm going to be like watching like the first season. I started watching it and I realized that I had watched the first episode like long time ago, and I have forgotten it, that I never finished the show. No, because I didn't like it. It was like one of those things that I'm going to be like watching the first episode and then I forgot about it.
Also, HBO releases 1 episode a week, which you probably watched and were like, I would watch a second episode, but it's not out for a week.
But it's not out.
Fuck you, HBO.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Let's see if I remember. In a week that I watched this. One thing that I found like pretty cute, it was like Daniel Craig. This at the beginning of the movie. Daniel Craig in the bathtub, like playing on his laptop. I think what was playing? He was playing.
He was in a zoo. Oh, it's the one where you're trying to figure out who the murderer is. You're like on a space station.
Oh yeah, Among Us.
Yes.
And he's playing with Sondheim, Angela Lansbury, and Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah, and then a very famous sports broadcaster. And they were all their real characters. And then later in the film, some characters are in a gym and Serena Williams is on the wall, and then you realize that it's actually Serena Williams talking to them.
Yeah,
like,
it's your money. If you don't want to train, it's fine.
Like you said, Rian Johnson is a director that just, people are like, yeah, I want a cameo in your film. Absolutely. I'll make myself available.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I mean, especially Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I mean, there's
anything.
He had a very important role in this film. But also, if you recognize, this is very early on in the film, when they arrive, when they're waiting at the dock to be taken to the private island, the guy that checks them into the boat is a very famous actor Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is in it for like literally like 90 seconds. And he has such an unimportant role that you're like, oh, people just want to be a part of a Rian Johnson film.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how they're like directors that they become the it director, like the director of the moment. And it's like, it's true. If you look at about like Knives Out, it felt like everyone was having a blast.
Yeah.
It's that you want to be part of that.
My husband actually asked me, like, why do you think people want to be a part of this? And I said, if I had to guess, I'm guessing this is a party set where everyone is happy and kind and they have a great time and people just want to come to a party and have a small bit in a film. That would be my guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think that they are doing this because they think that anyone is going to be like winning any award.
It might win Best Picture at the Oscars, so I want a cameo.
I think that they're realistic. It's like he knows that regardless of the money that Netflix puts into this, he's never going to be like this is it. This is like the thing that elevates cinema. It's like this is not.
It's no Roma.
Like, I don't know. Like, I was going to say Tar, but okay, sure. Or Triangle of Sadness. It doesn't have like a 20 minutes essay when people start like throwing up. They only did that in Knives Out, and it was like pretty subtle.
Yeah, it wasn't 15 minutes long. That's for sure.
No, in comparison, yeah. I don't know. I'm a bit afraid of giving out anything. I like it.
It's a fun ride.
Feel like
it's still
better.
fun.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as the first one.
Let's say we're comparing a Knives Out with a Disney ride, and I think that this is a Disney ride too. But I could say that for Knives Out, if this was a Disney ride, knowing what fun I'm going to have, I will wait for an hour in line for just like riding a Knives Out. For this, if there is no line, I may ride, but probably I would still like look for the other ride that is fun.
I'm certainly not waiting an hour to see this film, that's for sure. No. Even with Edward Norton. I mean...
he did an okay job. I didn't feel like he was like the best role of his career.
It was not, and I was actually a little disappointed. I think he played exactly what was in the script. I just think the script wasn't as good as the original.
Yes. Should we go for the questions?
Yes.
Would you watch it again? After two times that you watch it?
Yeah, I mean, in like a couple. Well, I would watch it sooner than a couple years, but like in a couple years, I will watch Knives Out again, and when I do that, I will watch Glass Onion.
Gotcha. Well, we may rewatch it when the third one comes out.
That's true. So yes, the answer is yes. I will watch this again.
Yeah, if I was like going to travel to Spain in a month, it's like I would definitely tell my parents is that hey, let's just watch it together. I'm curious to see if you will enjoy this or not. Would you recommend it?
Yes.
I would recommend it, but I would recommend a Knives Out way more than this one.
Agreed.
Would you remember it?
I'll remember the big picture stuff, yes.
Yeah, I think that I would remember like big twists that they happen in there. I may not remember. No, I would remember the resolution too.
Yeah.
So, is there anything artistic about it?
So we mentioned in the last episode that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in every single Rian Johnson film, even if it's only by voice. In Glass Onion, Joseph Gordon-Levitt shows up as the voice of a very loud.
Are you going to be like giving it away?
But it happens like 10 minutes into the film. It's not like
okay,
So when they arrive on the private island, every hour on the hour, there's a very loud somebody saying dong with some instrument dong behind it. That is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's voice. And that is what is artistic about this film.
I'm going to go with no.
That's fine. No, I would say there's nothing that's improved on the original concept in Knives Out.
I think that in the original one, I would say like the acting is amazing, but the acting is amazing because the script is amazing. Is that they sign and they elevate like a script that is already really good. I think that in this one, Edward Norton couldn't sign more because the script was not that good. So, from my perspective, is that I'm going to go with no.
Yep, that's fair.
Is it a timeless piece?
It really leans in hard to the references of current culture, social issues. I would call this more timely. I would say it's timely.
Yeah, me too. I think that it's a double-edged sword. Is that it can attract more people about like, hey, I want to watch it, and it's like talking about like things that are happening right now. And the COVID part, I think that is secondary. Is that's I can give that part away about like, yeah, you can get away with the part of acknowledging that there was a pandemic. My problem is a bit more about like the focus on this character, on Edward Norton's character, and just like trying to be a mirror towards reality.
And you know that the issues in Glass Onion are because of Netflix's stupid fucking analytics, where they're like, no, you have to have a YouTube influencer, and you have to have somebody that's woke, and you have to have this. Oh, Netflix, come on, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a bit curious to see exactly. I mean, I also. Do you think that that's the case with all movies, or do you think that he actually was like the one that he came and was like, no, these are going to be my characters?
I'm sure that he came with a pretty solid understanding of the story he wanted to tell, and I'm sure Netflix came and said, great, now you need to add this, this, and this, and this, because we know it'll be successful.
Do you think that they do that with Bardo?
With which one?
Bardo is a Netflix original.
Is that a Netflix original production, or did they just pay for the distribution rights in the States and call it an original?
I think that is an original production.
No, I don't think they did it in Bardo.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm like a bit... So is that they recognize that Iñárritu is like an auteur, and he can have, and he needs like that freedom, but Rian Johnson, he needs like the angle of what is popular.
But in fairness, that's what Rian Johnson is trying to be, like excellent entertainment and not go above that. I think Iñárritu, he is trying to go beyond that.
Oh yeah. But it's like, I think that's the reason why I think that maybe Rian Johnson really had like all of these kind of right now details already in mind for this movie that I'm not sure that Netflix actually influenced that much.
Also, I would probably argue that the budget for Bardo was like a tenth of what it was for Knives Out. So I'm sure Netflix was willing.
You think?
Just based on how much they paid their actors, 100% yes.
Oh well, that's true. Yeah. But the thing is that they don't give budgets data, if I recall correctly.
Say the name of that director as it should be pronounced.
Iñárritu. Alejandro González Iñárritu.
I think I told you I went to dinner with a Mexican and I was trying to explain who directed Bardo, and he could not understand me, and I felt super embarrassed.
Now that you mentioned that, I had to say this. A couple of days ago, we went to a Raising Cane's, you know, the chain, no?
Yeah.
So the guy like working there, he was like a 16-year-old, as in most fast food places, and the guy was asking, "Oh, what is the name?" He's like, "Oh, Jose," and he said, "Wait, what?" He said, "Jose," and he said, "I don't know," and he said, "Okay, J-O is the D," and he said, "No, J-O is the A," he said, O-S-E, he said, "Oh, Jose," he said.
Close, man.
So
close.
At that point, I just felt infuriated because he's like, it's fine when he says like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize." But when they actually pronounce back your name, like it's like, "Oh, you're mispronouncing your name." It's one of those moments that is like, "Fuck you, man." It's like, no, it's you that you don't know how to pronounce these specific sounds. But so from that perspective, is that probably if you had actually like made him understand what was the name, is that he would have been like, "Oh, Iñárritu," but probably he would pronounce it right.
He would, yes, and I would feel even more embarrassed.
Let me just go back to this. We said that this is not a timeless piece. Would you turn this into a TV show?
Hold on, now I'm thinking of Bardo. Okay, back to Glass Onion. Would I turn it into a TV? Yeah, in fact, I think I would probably prefer this. He was clearly expanding the amounts, or his world. So maybe this would benefit... Sorry for the dogs. Maybe this would benefit from more time where we could see the complexity of these characters.
That's fair, but I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with no because what we are given of these characters and like the premise of how they are connected, I don't think that the bonds that they have are like, as strong as like the ones from the family in
Selma!
the That is that, hey, these are people that they have been like living together for this long, and they have like these conflicts. It's like if we had like that kind of setup and characters that are a bit more interesting, I would have gone with this. But like this is like I don't know if I want to spend like more time with them or not, but with what I'm given, I'm good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why it irks me so much that we meet the characters before they're all together on an island. But I feel like if they had just like started like in Knives Out, you collect these characters on an island and then you reveal information instead of seeing them all alone. It just doesn't, I don't know. Maybe I just like the original too much and I don't like deviation.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that he needs to just like add some kind of variance. It's like we don't want to see like a full re-skin of the original movie. No one wants that. But at the same time, we want to capture exactly the same feeling with a different setup. And that's like pretty hard. And he tries to do it like a bit more like, I give you similar elements in a slightly different way, and then I throw everything through the window.
Yep.
And is that's hard to make it work 100%. So, could this have been a short?
No. There's just too much here. I'm not saying it's all worth our time, but there's too much to distill it down to, let's say, 30 minutes. No.
Yeah, I would say no either. Is that there is no way of condensing this to something shorter. I don't think that is as how do you say, lean as the original one.
Yeah, there's definitely some fat they could have
are...
trimmed, but they needed to add some muscle.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit more about like, hey, there are like some parts that you could have removed, but you will need to replace them with something a bit stronger. And this actually takes to the could the script movie have been better? My answer is definitely yes. If the script had been like a bit more solid, like fleshing out like better characters, removing a part of the movie feels like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yep, agreed.
And that part is freaking dumb. It's like way more dumb than Ana de Armas like throwing up when she lies. And yeah, like that is scene towards the end that is like fairly long, that it ends up with the destruction or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that was way too long.
And pointless.
That needed to be edited.
I don't understand. Yeah, no. We'll have to talk about this off air. But yes, that irked me as well. Especially the second time I watched it, I was like, okay, this isn't making any more sense.
Yeah, they tried to do like an explanation of everything about like, this is the motivation, and it just says, no,
nope.
This is not.
And it's kind of the impetus for a change in several of the characters, but it makes no sense why it worked.
No,
none at all.
No, it's just surprising to me about like coming from Knives Out that everything feels like so well crafted, so very like, you know, no fat. Like the guy probably like just read the script and reviewed it like 100 times for just like making sure that everything connects, you know, like a house of cards. And this like just put it there, you know.
See
and
what
see
works.
if it actually works or not. Yeah, it's like people are going to be impressed by the. They're going to be Russell Dawson.
Mm-hmm. Or so he thought.
Or so he thought. So should we score this?
Let's score it.
Damn, this was your pick. Because I have to say that my score has been like just going down a bit since we started.
Mine stayed the same for the most part. I can score it first if you want.
No. I'm going to go with mine. I'm going to go with a 7.
That's
I still think that
exactly
it's like
mine.
okay. I was debating right now. Is like should it be like a 6.5?
That was the only question I had in my mind. Is it?
But you know, we talked about EO recently, and I think that this is a bit more enjoyable than EO, and I'm going to remember like a tiny bit more.
It is better than EO, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like a bit disappointed, but not that much when I was watching it, because it's once again, it's a Russell Tussle kind of thing. It's smoke and mirrors about like, hey, the elements are here, but I'm playing with them in a different way, but you are still going to enjoy it, and you enjoy the ride, but it feels more empty. It feels like a bit more of empty calories.
Yep, it's still a fun ride, like you said. It's just not as well crafted.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Glass Onion?
I don't think so. I'm just curious what we're going to be watching next.
We are going to be giving like quite a bit of I don't know, like twists. The other day I was checking like a list of the best movies of the year, like best score movies of the year. Actually, I think that it was in Metacritic, and one of them was A Hero. I don't know if you watch it.
I don't think so.
It's from this year, but it's another like Asghar Farhadi, I think that is how it's pronounced, movie. And I remember that I really like The Salesman, and I also enjoyed A Hero. But I remember you telling me that A Separation was like really, really good. And I read the summary, and it feels like it's a bit of a thriller with a bit of mystery too.
Yes.
To it.
As I recall, yes.
Yeah. So I just felt it's like, hey, this can be an interesting follow-up to just watching Knives Out and Glass Onion.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. And to everyone out there, thank you so much for listening to us.
Wash your hands.
And let you have like that cure-all thing that you use in the
In Glass Onion. I want that.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.